Imagine being a leader of a small nation, standing up to a global superpower that has historically held sway over your country for decades. Would you have the courage to challenge them, knowing that it could cost you your life? And what would drive you to take such a risk? In today's video, we'll explore how Burkina Faso's young and defiant leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, is shaking the foundations of France's influence in Africa. His audacious actions and unyielding stance have sparked debates across the globe. What are his true motives? Are they purely nationalistic, or is there a deeper pan-African agenda at play? Share your opinions in the comments, and let's delve into this gripping story. Burkina Faso has become a focal point for an intense geopolitical confrontation as Captain Ibrahim Traoré positions himself as a champion of African sovereignty. His bold declaration, "I'm not afraid to die," has reverberated across the continent and the world. To understand the gravity of this statement, we must consider both the historical context and the current political climate in West Africa. France has wielded considerable influence in its former colonies for more than a century, even after the wave of African independence in the 1960s. Its control was symbolized by the CFA franc, a currency many see as a relic of colonial exploitation. Despite the facade of independence, France maintained its grip on the economic, political, and military systems of these nations. Traoré's defiance has evoked the memory of revolutionary leaders like Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso's own former president, and Libya's Muammar Gaddafi. Both men pursued paths that challenged Western hegemony and paid the ultimate price. Traoré's actions, however, seem to suggest that he is willing to confront these very same powers that many thought were untouchable. He knows the risks, but is steadfast in his pursuit of real autonomy for Burkina Faso and, by extension, Africa as a whole. The tipping point came when Traoré expelled the French ambassador and suspended decades-old military agreements with France. This was not merely a symbolic gesture, it was a seismic shift in Burkina Faso's foreign policy, signaling a clean break from its colonial past. He didn't stop there. French media outlets were accused of spreading disinformation and subsequently banned. French military personnel, who had been embedded in key strategic positions, were quietly removed. This unprecedented move left France scrambling to respond. President Emmanuel Macron, caught off guard by Traoré's decisiveness, downplayed the significance of these actions, but it was clear that Burkina Faso was not just severing ties with France. It was actively seeking to establish a new identity on the world stage. To reinforce its stance, Traoré turned to Russia. The strengthening of ties between Ouagadougou and Moscow has caused consternation in Europe and the United States, as they fear that Russia's expanding influence in Africa could undermine Western interests. For Burkina Faso, aligning with Russia is not just a matter of strategy. It is an assertion of its right to choose its own allies and partners. One of the core issues driving Traoré's agenda is the question of economic sovereignty. The CFA franc, used by 14 West African countries, has long been criticized for its restrictive monetary policies that benefit France at the expense of local economies. This currency, pegged to the euro and regulated by the French Treasury, limits the financial autonomy of its member states, making it difficult for them to implement independent economic policies that would truly serve their developmental needs. In an unprecedented move, Traoré has joined forces with Mali and Niger to explore the possibility of establishing a new currency that would break free from the CFA franc's stranglehold. This would be a monumental shift, potentially upending decades of economic dependence on France and fostering greater regional integration and cooperation. In February, Niger's military ruler, General Abdourahmane Chiani, publicly supported the idea of a unified currency with Burkina Faso and Mali, describing it as the first step towards breaking free from the legacy of colonization. This proposal has sparked debates among economists, politicians, and the general public. Supporters believe it could lead to greater financial stability, increased trade, and a stronger regional bloc that is less susceptible to external manipulation. Critics, however, warn that such a move could provoke economic instability and retaliatory actions from France, which has already voiced concerns about the potential fallout. As Burkina Faso repositions itself, security challenges remain a major concern. The country has been plagued by attacks from extremist groups linked to Al-Qaeda and ISIS. Recently, a tragic incident resulted in the deaths of nearly 300 people in the northern region of the country. Western media were quick to blame Traoré's policies for the uptick in violence, accusing him of destabilizing the nation. However, many in Burkina Faso view these reports as part of a broader disinformation campaign aimed at discrediting the government. Traoré himself has suggested that French forces in neighboring countries, such as Benin, are involved in coordinating these terrorist activities in an effort to weaken his administration. Despite these allegations being categorically denied by the French government, they have only served to further inflame anti-French sentiment within Burkina Faso. Protesters, now waving Russian flags, have taken to the streets, demanding a complete break from France's influence. This sentiment is not limited to Burkina Faso. Across West Africa, there is a growing sense that the West's approach to counterterrorism and development has failed. As a result, leaders like Traoré are exploring alternative alliances, even if it means partnering with nations like Russia, which have traditionally been seen as adversaries of the West. Russia's involvement in Burkina Faso is part of a broader strategy to expand its influence in Africa. For decades, the West, particularly France, has been able to maintain its dominance in the region due to historical, linguistic, and economic ties. But the landscape is changing. The Ukraine conflict and the West's focus on other global hotspots have created an opening for Russia to make inroads in Africa. Traoré's decision to support Russia's intervention in Ukraine was met with outrage in the West. But he has remained steadfast, arguing that Russia offers a more equitable partnership for Burkina Faso's development and security. This has not gone unnoticed. France and the United States have expressed concerns over Russia's growing presence in the region, warning that it could lead to increased instability. But Traoré is resolute. He believes that aligning with Russia presents an opportunity for Burkina Faso to define its own destiny, free from the constraints of Western influence. This partnership, in turn, provides Russia with a strategic foothold in a region that has long been considered a Western stronghold. It's a relationship that could reshape the political dynamics of not just West Africa, but the entire continent. The growing solidarity among African nations is evident. Traoré's defiance is not just about Burkina Faso, it's about inspiring a broader movement across the continent. Leaders in Mali, Niger, Guinea, and even Chad are beginning to question the status quo, seeking ways to assert their independence. There is a palpable sense that Africa's moment has arrived, a time when the continent can finally shed the remnants of colonialism and chart its own course. But with this new dawn comes significant risks. The old powers are not willing to let go easily, and the path to true independence is fraught with challenges. Emmanuel Macron's administration faces a daunting task as more African nations seek to distance themselves from France's orbit. Macron has tried to project an image of flexibility, promising a new era of Franco-African relations based on mutual respect. Yet many African leaders remain unconvinced, skeptical of these promises, in light of France's long history of intervention and control. The question remains, can Africa truly break free from its colonial past and forge a new future defined by sovereignty and self-determination? Or will the old powers reassert their influence, maintaining the status quo for generations to come? This unfolding drama in Burkina Faso is not just about one country's struggle for independence, it's about the future of Africa. What do you think? Can nations like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger succeed in severing ties with powerful allies like France and asserting true independence? Or is this quest for autonomy too risky, potentially destabilizing the region further? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Should African nations prioritize sovereignty over stability, even if it means facing tremendous external pressures? If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into global affairs and African geopolitics. See you in our next video.